Right, we're going to do something fun today. And first of all, I have my good camera and my good microphone over here in my remote shop, so at least we'll have some better sound right now. And I also have another thing that I'm going to do later today. And I have my old video camera and my old microphone over there. I've got a GoPro microphone coming, and then I have this good setup here. And what I'm going to do on that one, watch for it later if you want to, I'm going to put all three cameras up running, and I'm going to play. And then I'm going to ABC, boom, 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 the sound quality from each one of them, so we can just for my information. All right, but today, right now, in this video, we have a D35 right here that was the subject of the video that I just finished called Should I Enlarge the Sound Hole on this guitar? This D35 has a regular sound hole, stock sound hole. I compared it to one that has an enlarged sound hole. Most people like the sound of the larger sound hole, but really what I spent most of the time in that video talking about was not necessarily the sound per se, but more like the response that I was getting out of the guitar. And I think a lot of people just totally, absolutely missed that. They were going for the sound through the microphone, and I was talking about the response. So, because the response was something that me as a player responded to. Okay? So, I thought what would be fun to do is take this sound hole cutout straight from Martin. It says right there, it says America's Guitar on it. And what I'm going to do is play this guitar with the regular sound hole, and then I'm going to insert this in here. And I'm probably going to have to put a little piece of spruce on each edge to keep it from falling into the sound hole, and tape it up around the edges to keep the sound from leaking. And then we're going to compare this with a very, very small sound hole. Then I'm going to go get my Dremel tool, and I'm going to open it back up a little bit, and we're going to go progressively larger. You're going to get tired of listening to micro changes in here, so I'm probably going to do this in fairly large stages. So in other words, we're going to do this one first with almost no sound hole versus this one, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it up quite a bit. It's about that big. And then we'll have a small sound hole, and that'll give us an idea of what's going on here. So you can hear on the same guitar, I'm not even going to take the strings off. I'm not going to retune it. Nothing. It's going to be the same guitar. I'm going to try to sit in the same distance as I can, play the same as I can, all that stuff. But we're going to try to listen for the difference between a regular sound hole and a very small sound hole. Okay? So, we get going on that. First of all, let's, I'm going to get in tune, and I'll skip this part for you. Alright, there we go. That's what happens when you shrink the sound hole down. It's not a perfect test, obviously, because the wood's not really stuck to the wood. So, in other words, My fake sound hole is not really vibrating with the rest of the top. I'm not sure how much this actually vibrates right here anyways, because you got your expirations, you got that. Not sure how much vibration is going in here, but I'm willing to, you got to look at why this isn't a perfect test, and that is, the wood's not fastened on there, the wood's not vibrating, it's not sucking up vibrations, etc. But it does show us a little bit about the effects of the size of that sound hole. And then, I tried to tape it up there to try to see the sound come up. The sound hole fits in there pretty good. It's just like it's a saw curve, basically, because when they cut this out in the factory, that's the saw curve. So it's not a big gap in there, but there's a little bit of a gap. A much better test, of course, would be to build the guitar without a sound hole at all and then go from there. But that's similar to what you have with the Adamas guitars, where they have all the little different sound holes over here. And watch the one with the funny shaped keyhole sound hole here. Muck something. Try to tip my tongue. I played them before. There's a lot of guitars that don't have a sound hole at all, and they've got sound ports up in here. And I don't know, you draw your own judgments on this, but what I hear sitting here as a player is the less sound hole, the smaller the sound hole was, the stringier the guitar was. I heard strings. It was surprising. I've done this before. This isn't the first time I've done this. I've done this before a couple of times, and it's always surprising to me how much like the guitar it still sounds with the sound hole completely clogged up and everything. You can get one of the rubber feedback busters too and do the same sort of thing. And it's surprising how much sound the guitar body puts out and how much it still sounds like the guitar, but it sounds stringy, it sounds thin. It's just stringy is what I think of on it. And as I got the sound hole to normal again, it got fuller, bigger, fuller. So you see, that's my logic on this thing, is the progression of this thing is to get fuller and bigger and less stringy sounding and more open. I think that'd be a fair thing. I'm sure, in fact I know, that there's a point where it gets too much that way. So a lot of you guys like the regular hole because there's a certain quality of the sound that you're used to and you like. And when you get used to a larger sound hole, then those of us, they like that quality of sound, that sort of sound, that sort of response. When you get too big, it gets too much over there, and like a full Tony on, full Tony sound hole, 9/16 here. I've done that before on one guitar, and I wish I wouldn't have. I wish I would have left it at 4 1/4. It got too biting, too much bite, a little bit too shrill, and I had to work on it a little bit to get the richness and the bass back in there. But when I did that, then I had all this bass to work with, and it tempered out that shrillness, and the result was just a fantastically loud, in-your-face guitar. But you couldn't just open the sound hole up and do nothing else. I had to go back and pull the bass back up to richen up those notes that got too thin. And then the result of that was a guitar that was turned up to 11. I mean, it just really, whew. But, when you go to getting bass out of that thing, that involves weakening the top and things like that. So, there's a limit to what you can do on this, I think. Anyway, so there's what we hear. What do you think? What do you hear on that? What do you guys hear? Because again, the microphone is always going to be different than what you're sitting here as a player, because once again, it's the response on the player when I put that pick to the string and my brain goes, I expect to hear something, and it's just a nanosecond later that the sound actually comes out of the sound hole. And when you get to a larger sound hole, that comes out just that little extra bit quicker. It's a little bit of a faster response. It feels like a more direct link between the sound coming out and your brain. And it's a very small thing, but it's noticeable when you get used to it. And that's something that the microphone is not going to get, because you're going to hear the sound, and as far as you know, I that's the instant I heard the sound, and that's not the case. Not the case at all. So the sound coming out is only like a small portion of it. You might think, oh, the sound is everything, but it's not. It's the response of the guitar. It's the feel of the guitar. It's the way the neck feels in your hand. It's all these little things that make a difference to me as a player that you have no idea about. So it's a little tricky to record and talk. That's why I'm talking about my feelings and my responses and my observations of playing the thing. And so when I played that with it completely plugged up, it sounded stringy to me, and it felt like I was playing a gypsy jazz guitar. It had that stringy sound to it. A really super small soundhole gypsy jazz guitar. That's what it felt like a little bit to me. So, all right, see what you think. See you later.